Hi, I'm Aleea.
And I'm Hav. Welcome to Mom Files, Moments of Motherhood podcast, the place where the messy, hard, and honest parts of momming get to exist without shame.
If you're a mom, you'll find realistic routines, gentle validation, and maybe a few new things to try. Think of us as your village, a judgment-free corner of motherhood.
We're so glad you're here.
We are back with season 3. We weren't gone long, but we definitely missed you all the same. This season, we are going to be talking about things preparing for labor maybe itself, maybe even some postpartum, just like within that realm, especially because, Hav was going through the pregnancy. Now we're obviously going to be about to go through the next step. So with that said, let's get into today's episode. We're going to be talking all today about preparing for labor and then actually realistic things that you need in your hospital bag, because I think there's a lot of things that are suggested that just aren't, necessary. And so also I think there's things that, maybe people just don't even mention. So we'll jump into kind of our own personal preparing experiences and then kind of our essentials. So Hav, do you kind of want to start? Maybe is there anything specific? And I mean, even now that you are doing to kind of prepare for labor?
I mean, yes, I think I'm doing a lot more than I did with Azzy. I mean, I told you I'm going to physical therapy, one that's for like the short term and trying to like be comfortable, but it's actually to make labor like, I don't even want to say enjoyable, but enjoyable. Yeah. So that's a big thing for me. Granted, I think that's very like specific case by case. Otherwise, my birth plan and just trying to think like of all the things that I want to have on it. I've been talking to my doctor about my birth plan, but also like thinking about things that like I forgot to ask her, right? Like I'm going to the same hospital, so I'm pretty sure if they still have all the same things, like I know what to do, but like do they have a birth ball, things like that for when we get into talking about packing our birth bag. Otherwise, I'm not doing very much. I'm one of those people that I feel like when I overstudy and overcomplicate things, it stresses me out more. So I'm just trying to relax, get as much sleep as I can, make sure my body is healthy as much as I can, and then honestly just spend as much time with Azzy because it's a little different when you have one at home. So just soaking all that time. But labor itself, yeah. And then I think planning on working on my breathing exercises, which I need to get into more. I'm at that 32-week mark. So I'm right around when they're like, do your breath work, the perineum massage. If you don't know anything about that, I highly suggest looking it up. So starting to do that kind of stuff, just like, and then I do like the raspberry leaf tea and date. My mother-in-law makes me okra stew, stuff like that. So all the like the little things that like, do I know if they actually work? No, but anything to like help my mindset be like, this is going to be a good labor.
I'm actually glad you brought up almost every single one of those things because like as you were talking about it, it reminded me of things that I did. I'm glad you brought up PT because, and like especially pelvic floor, I'm like, I think if you are going through it, I think that's a reminder that you can prepare. Like, yes, there's mental things, but there's also physical things you can do. And to kind of add on that, like, I know I tried to do some stretching. I was trying to do some walking. I will say the next pregnancy, I do plan on doing that more. I think I really lacked on those like stretching and things like that. But like, I was with you. I did the dates. I really, what do you call it?
The perineum?
The massage? Yeah. I bought the wand and everything. And I do think that helps some, but I wish I was consistent with it, but I think I should have been more consistent with it. So I'm really glad you brought that. Another thing I would also suggest, because I was someone who was so scared and like I felt like I tried to over prepare. Some things that helped me was like our hospital gave a hospital tour. So that helped me know because it was, especially if you are in our area, the hospital for me was new compared to like our old hospital. So I wanted to know where to go. And I'm really glad we did because the labor unit was so far away. And which was fine, but it was like gave me like to prepare. Like once I got there, I wasn't worried. Like I knew what to do. And I felt that kind of gave me some peace.
Yeah.
Another thing, I know I mentioned it in a previous episode, was reading that book just to help with like positive birth stories, like and things like that. But also, yeah, breathing helped. I think it's one of those things you just kind of have to think about small things that you might be nervous for and like think that like help you. Like even something else I did, like, and I made Ty do, we did a CPR first aid course. before to get certified because I was so nervous that, especially I knew I wanted to do baby-led weaning. I was so nervous my kid was going to choke. Then I was like the other first. So, I mean, you can even think about other things that maybe it's not exactly preparing, but I felt prepared once I was going into labor because I was like, okay, I feel like I can kind of take care of this child now.
No, I think that's a great point. And those are things that I'm not doing with this one because I feel more prepared, right? And I'm same hospital, same setup.
Mhm.
Actually, not a different setup. I actually go to a different part of the hospital is like all of my town, just for listeners. The emergency area and like now the birthing unit are on one side of town, and then my OB and where the birthing unit used to be on a different side of town. But I did their birth classes that they offered for free. I know some hospitals don't offer them for free, some do. I knew a lot of the things that they told me, but it was just nice to go in and like kind of confirm. And like the nursing class and stuff, if you plan on nursing, it's like we keep saying, like there's so many things that like you actually just can't prepare for because you don't know what's going to happen when you get into it. But having that peace of mind of like just knowing that you've done your due diligence to study it and whatnot. But yeah, I feel like with this baby, I'm a little bit more like, we're just trying to see my focus is my body right now. Not to sound like I don't care about the baby's body, but that's kind of more my focus because I didn't do that with. I was walking and I was mobile, but I wasn't in pain for any of it. This baby, I'm in a lot of pain. So feeling that, but I'm glad you brought up the birthing classes or like in the tour. I know a lot of hospitals do online tours too if you're not somebody who wants to go in. But yeah, those are it.
I think those are great points. And I think that you made an excellent point. I'm definitely not going to be doing all these same things either going into the next pregnancy. So I think that's also a reminder is like each pregnancy is different and how you prepare will be different. I'm like you, like there's things, like I said, I did walk and I did stretch, but I felt like I could have done it better. Like those are things I want to do more next pregnancy, the massaging, things like that. But I'm like, there will be things I leave. Obviously, I'm not planning on doing a CPR class. I'm not planning on touring the hospital. But like at the same time, like you, maybe I start getting pain and stuff. Maybe I'll look at some other alternatives like physical therapy. Maybe who knows? Maybe I'll be going through depression. Not that that's the case, but you don't know what you're going to be going through during those moments. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up just because there are definitely things I will be leaving behind or potentially picking up as I'm going through it because you just don't know.
Well, and there are things too that I think you hold from the first labor. Like for me, especially like we talked about in last season, there is a lot of honestly trauma from my first labor, and not. I really don't think it was the worst labor ever. Like I really like, but there was a lot of things that went way that I didn't want them to or didn't expect them to. And I think a big part of that for me preparing for this labor is just giving myself grace for the decisions that I feel like I made wrong before, mentally preparing for what if those come up again, like what am I going to do? How am I going to feel? Also talking to my partner, talking to Tony about how long are we going to stay home before we go in? Like if things go the way that I want them to, am I going to, do I want to stay at home as long as possible? Those are things that we've talked about. Whereas like, and I think for, at least for my husband, he gets really stressed for me because he is like, you have such a high pain tolerance, like all these things. And he gets very just like, we need to take care of you, which is great. But letting him know where I stand with certain things, with the epidural, with stuff like that, it's almost as important as I feel like talking to our doctor about it. So then he can also advocate for me and know what's on my birth plan as well.
I think that's a good point, especially the talking about those things. Cause like you said, then he's prepared before you're actually in those moments. But I think it's a good reminder because like first, I just didn't even know what to expect. Like I honestly, when I was going through contractions, I was like, is this what they are? And so like, I felt so nervous. I wanted to just like go. And this time I'm like, I'm like you, I'm like, how long are we going to wait? Things like that. So I think that's also to take into account. It can be hard. Prepare as much as you can, but it can be hard when you're in the moment and feeling your feelings. Like I remember being like, oh, I'll feel confident. And then I was like stressed and I'm like, is he coming? Is it happening? Like, I'm like, what if we don't make it, even though it ended up being a really long labor? And I think just to add on, I had a pretty good labor too. And I still have a lot of trauma from it, honestly.
Well, and to your point of like going in, because I felt so confident. I don't know if you remember, I was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I know about this and I know about that. And then I let myself second guess my confidence too. Why I induced and went in, and it wasn't necessary.
Right.
So, like, that was a decision I made. So that's kind of also where I'm like, give yourself grace for like second guessing yourself and just trying to prepare myself to be more like, I know what I know, and I don't need to let people make me second guess myself. Thankfully, I have a different OB this time, and she literally was like, tell us no, like, advocate for yourself. But it can be really hard to do. So, yeah, I guess for me, I think big, heavy on the mental preparation. Obviously, this one physical preparation too, but I would say, like, if you're a first-time parent, this is your first pregnancy, I would definitely big mental. And then, yeah, try to take care of your body as much as you can. I didn't do the perineum massages last time. I, like, knew about them, and I did it, like, once or twice. I did the raspberry leaf tea. I like dates, so I just eat dates. So I was, like, doing those things. And it was still fine. I wasn't like, "This was horrible. I should have been doing all these things." I'm gonna do them this time to try to just, like, support myself more, but it wasn't like I didn't do it and it was horrible.
Right. I agree. I think the mental thing is a huge because that for me, I feel like was part of my biggest roadblock is I kept telling myself I was fine, but I was still so scared about it. And I tried to prepare myself mentally. And I do think that's the biggest thing because it's like, yes, it's physically hard, very much so. But I'm like, for me, I think my biggest roadblock was my mental. And like, I definitely want to tackle that better this next time around. But also, it's funny when you say, because I was doing those things too. I was stretching and things. But towards the end, I started when I was eating the dates, I just wanted him to stay in so much longer. Like, I was so nervous to give birth that I was like, I don't want to be doing these things. I stopped raspberry because I was like, I don't want to make him come out sooner. And I feel like I hurt myself not doing that because I'm like, it was just
It's really the opposite, right? Like,
right.
people are
But
like,
I
"Come out
just,
now."
but I was so scared. So I was like, wait, if I eat too many dates, I'm like, is he just going to fall out tomorrow? I was like, I'm not ready for that.
Well, and I think that's too on, like,
It was a mental thing.
yeah, and what are we learning from social media versus, like, what is it actually? Because I think the dates and the raspberry tea are just to mostly actually to strengthen your uterus and, like, just help with, like, the recovery and stuff. I could honestly, it's been a while since I've researched it, but do your research if you have
Yeah.
any questions.
And if I can find it, there was there's like one study on dates. So that's why I think it's like do whatever because there's not enough information yet. But I think it said it also helped make labor go faster, smoother. I don't really know. If I can find the study, I will link it though in our show notes because I think it is something if you're curious about it. It's one of those things I don't think it hurts to do.
Yeah. Oh, there was something else I was gonna say, and I totally forgot. But I saw something recently, like, OB talking about how some women are trying to, like, break their water to induce labor and how that's, like, not a good idea. If you know about, like, breaking your water doesn't necessarily mean baby's coming, but it can complicate things if you do it and baby is not coming. So just, like, yeah, even take what we say with a grain of salt, right? Like, make sure it's what you want, make sure it's what works for your body. Like I said, I love dates, so it's kinda when I want a sweet treat, I go pop a couple of dates. I've been doing it since I was, like, 20 weeks, though, so I just like dates. It's just yummy for me.
It's funny because I also love dates.
Most people don't like dates. So there's a lot of things that you can do if you don't like dates to make them yummy. Like, you can make date brownie bites. You can put dates in your smoothies or your shakes in the morning. I've seen people, like, fill dates with peanut butter. I actually did this other day.
I was going to say, that's what I do is the Snickers dates.
Yeah, but I got, the ice cream topper, the shell topper, the chocolate shell topper.
Yeah.
I put that on there so I could have a little crunch, and I put it in the fridge.
I like that better because I don't have a microwave because I'm psycho and melting chocolate takes a minute on the stove. So and it's more dishes. So that seems like a nice little alternative.
Yeah, it was super, and it was fun. Just a little tasty, crunchy treat.
I love that. So with that, I think that kind of leads us into, we've talked about the emotional and physical. Let's kind of get into what we brought or, didn't bring to the hospital bag or in our hospital bags. By the side note, this is super side note. If you're listening, if you would like a packing list, especially one that you maybe could add to or we can all contribute to, let us know. And so if you're curious, we will create one and link it and then we can all utilize it. So let us know if that's something you're interested in. If we get enough interest, we'll do that. Otherwise, I don't know, Hav, do you want to kind of start with anything you can think of top mind and then I'll kind of add in?
Yeah. Well, how about I'll start with what I brought last time and then can go and then I can say what I plan to bring because I do feel like it's different. Well, okay. Do I remember everything that I brought? No, but I do remember that I overpacked extremely because I just didn't know what to expect. But I definitely made sure I brought pajamas, comfy socks. I brought like a robe pajama thing so that after I went through labor, because I didn't buy like the labor gown, but after I went through labor, I knew that I wanted to like wear something that I could pull apart for easy access for skin to skin and for nursing. I brought the Tux pads. I brought my own like the spray bottle. I think it's a perineum spray bottle. I brought Dermaplast. I think I brought some snacks. I brought clothes for baby. I brought like 3 different sizes. I brought diapers. Knowing me, I can't remember for sure, but knowing me, I think I brought like a blanket and pillow for Tony. Brought him like, change of clothes and all that stuff. I think we had like 2 or 3 bags, to be honest. It was a lot of stuff. And honestly, I didn't use like, the thing with the baby clothes is hard because you don't know what size baby's going to be. But I didn't need all the clothes, like the hats and the swaddles and stuff like that. I just ended up using what they had at the hospital. Diapers, I ended up using what they had at the hospital. For me, I'm a big like use what the hospital is charging you for because they're taking your money anyway. My hospital also gave me Tux pads and Dermaplast and the underwear and a perineum spray bottle. And I think I will say like this is one of those things that's like it's a personal preference too. Like if you want your own specific spray bottle, my perineum bottle was like one of the Mom Frida ones that my girlfriend bought me so that I could have something that was just like easier to use and whatever. I didn't mind the hospital one at all. I used their sitz bath, like little tub thing. So pretty much everything like medically, like to help with healing down there, I just used what they gave me. And same with diapers and same with swaddle, stuff like that. So I think I went home with like my full Tux stuff like that, which was great. And I can go into like what I think I'm going to bring next time. I think for the most part, mine's going to be more snacks heavy, like focus on. Yeah, because they don't, especially if you go, at least at my hospital when I gave birth, the kitchen was closed. So the food that they gave me was a ham sandwich. I don't eat ham. Not religious reasons. I just don't like it. They gave me a ham and cheese sandwich. It was literally just ham and cheese. I ate it. I needed it, but I hated it. I would say for the way that if me and Tony do it the same way before, I was out of it. I was sleeping. He was, especially during when she was feeding every hour, he would put her on me. I would wake up to feed her and he would take her. He was up. He was up the whole night. He was making sure that mom was sleeping and that she was being taken care of. So I would definitely bring energy drinks for him. Energy packets, energy drinks, like whatever. But I think that would help him. He couldn't sleep because the bed wasn't comfortable. So even like pillow and stuff. I think sound machine. But again, my hospital, there was construction above the labor and delivery unit. So like that was just other things. Yeah, like I think the comfortable pajamas still very important. Will I bring Tux and Dermaplast again? Maybe, probably. I'm an overpacker, but I'm not going to bring like a perineum bottle. I'm not going to bring the ice packs. They made me diaper ice packs.
Yeah.
While I was there. Which if you don't know what those are, super awesome. You open up the diaper and you put ice in there and it absorbs everything. So you're not dealing with leakies and stuff. But yeah, I'm not going to pack diapers. I'm going to use what they gave me, assuming he's not huge. But if I'm correct, I think newborn goes up to like 10 pounds.
Yeah, because I was nervous about size 2 and I brought newborn and what's the size after that? 0 to 3 months, I think. I brought both of those just to be safe. But he did, yeah. I think newborn goes up to like 10 or so pounds.
I think so.
But if you are worried, I would bring both sizes because that's what I did.
Yeah. And just bring, a few of them. And I will say, like, this is assuming you have a partner, you have somebody with you. They can go and get stuff. It's not like they can't leave the hospital. They just can't leave with baby. But yeah, I would say big on the snacks. Like shampoo and conditioner. I really enjoyed my shower afterwards, just feeling clean after all.
It's interesting because like I'm with you. I'm like, I'd bring clothes for yourself, like your partner, your baby. I'd bring like my phone charger. I brought food and I didn't eat any of it. And maybe that's because we have a better cafeteria. So that's something to think about. Like if you are a snacker or even if you're someone who maybe has like certain health things, just bring extra snacks. You might not need them, but I think that is a great point. Something else I was thinking about. It's funny. I also brought a sound machine. I ended up not using it. I brought all the shower stuff. But the thing is I told myself before. So I showered right before we left. Like I was wet still going to the hospital. After labor, I was so tired and so sore that I did not shower until I got home. That was only like 2 days later. So even though I was like, I look back and I'm like, why didn't I shower? You know, I'm like, gross. But I'm like, it felt so good when I got home to like shower in my own shower. So, but I'm like, I feel like I would shower the next time because I didn't like it. I just was like hurting. I just didn't, I was so tired. I was hurting. I was like, I don't want to do anything. But I do know Ty, I remember he showered. So think about that. If you do have a partner, maybe, you know, they bring extra clothes too, especially you are there multiple days. And I like that you brought up they can leave. Something else, maybe if you are doing it alone, also people can bring things to you. I had Ty's brother bring us stuff. So maybe you don't have like someone there with you, but maybe someone's willing to drop something off. So I think that is a good thing to note. The other thing I would say that I would probably bring is like, I honestly will probably leave all the extra labor stuff. Like I really didn't, they had a ball for me. Like you said, they had all the postpartum stuff. Obviously bring your IDs and insurance and stuff just in case. But the other thing that I did was I did bring little gifts for my labor and delivery nurses. Obviously it wasn't necessary and that's all, but they were super helpful and super kind. So that is something that if you are feeling, you know, even if it's just like pens and like, you know, like it doesn't have to be big. Like I know on social media, people give these big bags but I'm like, something small is still appreciated just to say like, thank you. So don't feel like you have to break the bank, even if it's just a card. Like I know, I think for the doctor, we just wrote a card or something. I can't remember. So that's something else to think about.
The other thing I would add too, because for me, snacks are important, like hydration packets. I know a lot of nurses and stuff will make you like juices and stuff. But especially if you are nursing, the whole process is really draining, but I think especially if you are nursing or planning to nurse, that first 24 hours when they are attached to you, I've never felt so drained in my entire life. Just constantly, it literally feels like life is being sucked out of you. If this is your second and you nursed and that wasn't the case, I love that for you. If this is your first time, I would just prepare to feel like you can't open your eyes. But yeah, I know the shower thing for me too. I think that was, I usually am like, I'd rather just shower at home. I shit myself. So.
Well, I was like, normally I would because I'm like, I hate Sid, but I was like, I just remember like I had to help her like wipe me the first time. Like I remember being like, I can't even like
it was
touch my, it was scary. I was hurting. So I get you because my labor was not a clean labor.
I will say I was drugged up, so I wasn't feeling all the pain. Oh, that's what I was going to say. For like when you're in the pillows for you and stuff, I think are good. The hospital bed's not comfortable.
Bring a pillow and bring a blanket.
Yeah, if you're getting a boppy or some kind of like sitting pillow for yourself for when you get home, I used my boppy as like a butt pillow. I didn't use it to nurse. I used it for healing so that I wasn't sitting like on anything. I would bring that to put my butt on at the hospital if I say I tear again.
The other thing I was thinking of, just like from scrolling like my old list, which I laugh now looking at, I'm like, I wouldn't bring 95% of this. Anyway, is I did bring a hand pump. They had helped with some parts and stuff, but that was kind of nice to have. I think, like I said, some hospitals provide stuff, so that's nice. Like I think I took home an extra one that they gave me, and then hair ties or clips. Like I will say, like that's something I definitely didn't want. My hair is like almost always up, and I think I would have had a meltdown if I didn't have my hair, the option to put it up or down.
I did braid my hair. I braided my hair like every day.
Do you have a podcast and about 4 minutes of free time? Are you editing during nap time, answering emails at midnight, or wondering how your podcast became a second full-time job?
But you don't need to do it all. You need back-end support. That's why we offer podcast editing and post-production for busy moms who have something to say, but no time for audio, show notes, or scheduling. You record, we handle the rest.
Close your eyes and imagine fewer late nights and way less tech stress. If that sounds good, check the link in the description and book a free discovery call. Just a quick chat to see if we're a good fit.
Because podcasting should feel fun, not like another thing on your already really full plate. And then I will say also, I know you and I are not really women that like get done up every day and like to put makeup on and like all those things. But if you are somebody who likes to do their makeup and you like to look good, especially if you're having visitors and you just want to feel like you like look alive, go ahead and pack yourself a little makeup kit. I don't think you need it. I think we all look beautiful and like we're fucking champions for doing what we just did. But if you are somebody who wants to bring that blow dryer or whatnot and wants to bring maybe for pictures for baby, I know some women like to do, or some families like to do the name card, stuff like that.
I was literally going to say make sure to bring the name tag because,
yeah. If they're cute.
Yeah, I did it.
I didn't do any pictures in there. I was so tired. Between the labor and the hospital and them doing construction above me, I was I'm done.
No, I get it. When you're saying that, I'm laughing at like I'm picturing the photo. There's a photo, like I think we all have one of us like with our baby and our husbands the first time. I hate that photo. I look unhappy and fat and like, but you know how some people are like, wow, you look so beautiful after labor.
I don't even think I have a picture with like me, Tony, and Azzy. Like I think there's like a couple selfies of like me and Azzy, and I have pictures of him and Azzy. I don't think we were both just so like.
No, I get it. The only reason I do is because my mom was there.
Yeah, well, and that was the other thing. We did no visitors, so I would say also your birth plan. We talked about birth plan in our last episode or in the last season, but I think that obviously is important. But one thing I will add to your birth plan is whether you want visitors, who is allowed to visit and when they're allowed to visit, because your nurses you can tell them when you get in, but if you put it on I put on my birth plan, nobody is allowed to visit at any point. And nobody tried it. Like I told people we weren't having visitors, but especially if you maybe have family members who don't respect boundaries, that is part of the reason those nurses are there. They will stop them, or at least they should stop them from coming in. So it might be something to add.
And just to note on that, if you don't have people in and you do want photos, don't forget to ask your nurses, because they very much more than likely, especially if they're not doing anything, are going to like, they'll be willing to take a photo for you. So don't feel like you have to like miss out on those moments just because you like don't want people in the room with you.
100%. I'm also remembering this. Another one. It's not a birth bag thing. It's actually, if you don't know about Huckleberry, I'm kind of anti-Huckleberry app a little bit because it really pushes like the feeding plan and the sleeping plan and do what's best for you. I used it religiously for Azzy the first 4 months, whatever. But I will say, at least at my hospital, they ask you to track, if you're nursing, they ask you to track your feeding so that they can just make sure the baby's getting enough food and everything. Finding a pen and writing that down on a piece of paper and that was a whole nother. No, my phone was right there. So the Huckleberry app actually really helped me with that because I could just press start and stop and be done. And then when the nurse came in, I would just show her. So downloading that beforehand, especially if you do want to start tracking feeding and they're newborn, they're literally a day out. So you're not going to be like, you can't eat. But I think the Huckleberry app, at least for somebody like me, is nice those first couple of nights because I'm not calculating how many hours it's been since they ate. I will track when they started. I'll hit when they stop. I can give it to my partner. He can do it, whatever the case. And then when the nurse comes in, here you go.
I think that's a great point because I totally forgot about that, especially if you didn't know, because I didn't. Most babies obviously lose their birth weight and then you have to get back up to it and then obviously continuing the growth. So that is a great suggestion because it can be really hard, especially when you're already tired and you're already overwhelmed in that phase. So I love that suggestion. And I think that is just kind of a reminder, like, don't overthink it. Don't overthink the bag. Just think about the essentials. Think about what you need. Like, if you're someone that's like Hav said, you need the makeup, you need all the rug and the essential oil, whatever it is, do it. But just don't think that you have to have everything. Like, I definitely thought I did. And we came out fine. We got to come home. Like, yeah, just, it's okay to overpack, but just remember, like, you don't need to. Even as we're talking now, I'm thinking about things I'm not going to be bringing. And it's just a reminder that all experiences are different, including if this is your first kid, your next kid could be different, things like that. So definitely just think about what you need. It's not about being perfect. It's just kind of about bringing and preparing for you and like what you need, what your baby needs, if you have a partner, what they need. Like, I would just say think for comfort and think for practicality. And if it's overwhelming you, keep it simple and it'll be okay. Because honestly, you'd be surprised how much the hospital has on hand. Like Hav said, the peri bottles, the dermoplast and the tuck, like they have so much. And obviously, like, don't just like expect, that they'll have it, but don't feel overwhelmed because they do have a lot more than you think they will. So, I mean, with that, Hav, do you have any other kind of like notes?
I would say if you're worried about it, you can ask your doctor, your OB, what they have there for you. Like I said, like the bounce ball, the stuff like that. Also, I'm a big, like, make your partner pack his own shit or her own shit or whatever. Like, if that's something that you don't want to worry about. And then if they forget something, then they forget something, stuff like that. But, like, we're there for one reason, this baby, honestly, and mom. And so, yeah, pack what you think will make you comfortable. And if you walk in there with a rolling suitcase and a duffel bag, and do you, boo? Like I said, I think I brought like a rolling suitcase or something. I brought 2 bags or something. Like,
we brought enough. I think Ty had to go back to the car to get the rest of the bags. Like,
oh yeah, Tony went back to
the 2 trips. And I remember we were leaving and I was like, I don't even think I opened 2 of the bags. And I remember
hindsight 2020. I'm like, I think I like used like this much of the
that's
actual
what I
space.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I brought like multiple pajamas, wore one. I think my nurses saw me naked the whole time.
I can't even describe how uncomfortable I was. I felt naked just constantly. And I told you my door room was open and people would just like peek in, and I'm like, my hoo-ha's just facing the door and I'm like, hello.
Literally like, here I am.
It's hard being in this town. Like, and if you're listening to this and you're from a small town, it's like you likely know these people and their spouses and stuff. And you're just like, oh, here you go. And I know it's their job and it's a medical thing and it's fine, but it's just funny to experience it, especially when you're like us. Like, that stuff makes me uncomfortable.
Which is funny. I was like, I don't care. When they put me in the hospital gown, like, I was like, I'm not tying the back.
I mean, I did it. I couldn't care at that point, especially and I think if you are someone, once you're like in deep labor, you'll understand there's a certain point where you're just like, here we are.
Well, I guess that's the difference too. I'm like rural, but I'm not, the town's actually not actually small. And I don't really know anybody here because I'm new here. So I'm also like, you want to see my ass?
But if you have any additional hospital bag tips, definitely send them our way. And I mentioned earlier, if you are curious to have like your own list with essentials, like I said, we will link one. Let us know, especially because I think it'd be fun if we all added to it because we all have different needs and essentials and it's kind of fun to see. It's one of those things, take what you need, leave the rest. Yeah. So, I mean, with that, honestly, you'll probably forget something, to be honest, and that's okay. But you are bringing the most important thing, you and your baby, both there and back. So that's it for today's episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. If this episode made you feel a little less alone, send it to a mom friend who might need it too. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It really does help more moms find us and find the show. We want it to reach more people. So until then, next week we will be diving into nesting, especially as you get later into pregnancy. So with that, remember to keep your kids alive and your coffee hot, or at least reheated once. Bye.
Bye.